Hey guys, it's Corey and I'm back with a concern video. In today's concern video we're going to be talking about the Division 2 and some of the things that concern me just before release. So, the Division 2 is about 6 weeks away, and in this video we're going to be talking about the endgame content, the matchmaking system, the dark zone and the loot. And at the end of the video I'm going to put in some of my final thoughts about the private beta. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the endgame content that's going to be coming with the Division. Unlike the Division 1, I don't really want it to be the same sort of 12 missions that we're doing on either hard difficulty, challenging or heroic or legendary or anything like that. It'd be really cool to see some modifiers or something like that, kind of like how they used to do with the global events. Games like Warframe and Destiny, the endgame content usually gets a lot harder without having enemies being bullet sponges, and they offer some better loot to get. If we had a chance to get some loot that we can't get anywhere else, other than from, say, enemy specific drops such as certain bosses, like we kind of did in the first division with the solid camos, then it'd be really good. But if we end up having the sort of same endgame content that the Division 1 had, a lot of people are just going to get bored of it and sort of think, well, we've done it once before, we've been doing it for the past 3 years, what's the point in playing? And I don't really want that to happen. I like the Division as a series, I like the aesthetic of it and the whole idea of it, but I just think that there needs to be some sort of edge to the endgame content in this one. Otherwise it's going to sort of fall flat a couple of months in, and then people aren't going to really want to play it, kind of like how the Division 1 did. It was okay at the start, a lot of people were playing it, but then the minute that people got to the end game and realised, well, this is it, they just stopped playing. And a lot of people just wrote it off as a dead game. It did make a resurgence, but I don't think that Ubisoft would be in a good position to have that happen again. They sort of need it to hit the ground running and keep rolling sort of thing. And if they get the endgame content down to a T of certain things, then it'll be really good. From the private beta, from what I saw, is the endgame content, it changes the enemies to be the higher level enemies that have got different equipment, different sort of buffs and debuffs, and it also had the signature weapon ammo, so you can use that, which is kind of like the heavy ammo in Destiny. And to be fair, from the mission that I played, they did really well, so it does look quite promising for the end game. It's only if they can keep that sort of level of quality up. So the second thing that we're going to be talking about is the matchmaking system that's going to be within the Division 2. So from what I've saw from the private beta is that normal missions have a matchmaking system in it, which is pretty much the exact same as the first Division game, where you just sort of find an agent or matchmake. I'm hoping that they do continue to have that for the incursions and endgame content that's going to come out, because it'll just add so much more content availability for people. More people will be able to play the incursions, and there'll be more of a grind for loot. There'll be more stuff to do because you'll be able to grind easier. If there's no matchmaking system, that's generally just going to be a bad idea on their part. The Division 2 needs that matchmaking system because that helps and enables people to play the game. To be fair, the Division 1 did it really well, and I highly doubt that they're going to change that now, seeing as it did so well, and it allowed a lot of people to do the endgame content like the incursions, and it even let people matchmake for the dark zone, so you weren't going in on your own and you weren't getting ganked by people. And I think it would just be a really good solid basis for the content area of the game. So the third thing that we're going to be talking about is the dark zone. So in the first game, the dark zone was just 6 areas, total PvP, every man for themselves sort of thing. It was classified as some of the endgame content for the game, but a lot of people who were solo players kind of steered clear of it. There's a lot of people who liked it for the PvP, but then at the same time there was equally amount of people who hated it for the PvP and thought that the balancing and the different weapons was just all over the place. So in the Division 2, I'm not too sure how it's actually going to work. Supposedly there's 3 different dark zones, so there's one for low levels, one for mid levels, and then one for end game high levels where everything goes sort of thing. So if you've got a totally better build than someone, you're going to be able to kill them quicker. There's no sort of soft caps or anything of you can only do so much damage. Well, I think this is a good thing, so if you've min-maxed your character and you've put the time and effort into it, it's going to show. But then at the same time, if people aren't going to min-max or don't know to min-max or something like that, it's going to stop them from going into the area. And while usually I'm quite against this sort of thing of, oh, it should be accessible to everyone, I can see where some people come from with it being annoying. With the Division 1, they had sort of bad balancing of guns, and then they had the problem with God builds and really sweaty builds like the Striker, the 6-piece classified Striker, and things like that. Those sort of builds or combination of weapons can ruin the game. I know there was a time where it was really toxic to go into the Dark Zone, and for a lot of people it just really put them off playing the game, and it's just not worth it. They should just have, or at least try, to keep things balanced. It's a lot easier said than done, and there's always going to be people who are going to find little tricky ways to make things work in their favour, and it'd be a bit unfair. But if they keep on top of it and do it how they did the Division 1, where they kept sort of looking into it and things like that, then it'll be totally fine. They'll be able to sort of deal with it and sort it, change things, nerf, buff, but all to a good extent. I just hope that the skills don't really get affected, because I know in the first game some of the skills now are just totally worthless, and they're just not worth using at all. So the second to last thing that we're going to be talking about is the loot that's in the Division. I really want it to be something different and not any of the rehash sort of thing that other games do nowadays. Like I said in my Anthem Concern video, Destiny 2 has rehashed quite a few guns into their second game, and I really don't want this to be happening in the Division 2. If there's no new weapons, I just can't see myself really wanting to play it. I want to see new guns with new perks, new things to do. If we have the same guns, it's just not going to be worth it. The Division 1 had some great exotics, like the House or the MDR or even the Bullfrog. But if they come back the same as what they were in the Division 1, it's just going to be stale. If they come back in a different way, so they're a different type of weapon or something like that, maybe with some different perks, it might be better. It might be worth using. But if not, I really can't see myself using stuff. And I really hope that the loot in the Division 2 is actually worthwhile throughout. There's some godly weapons in the Division 1, but then there's other weapons that are just so lackluster, so just low end, that they're not even worth using. The damage output or the perks or its actual stats are just terrible, and it's not even worth considering at all. If the Division 2 totally negates that, and we actually get a select amount of weapons that we can actually use, it offers variety and difference in sort of builds and the things that we can do. So last but certainly not least is my final thoughts about the private beta that I've just played of the Division 2. So it's February 10th now, so this is the last day to play the private beta. I'm not too sure when the open beta is going to be out for it, but I'm guessing it could be in like a week, maybe 2 weeks from now. So I managed to play through, I think it was 1 main mission and 2 side missions for the Division, and all of them were pretty good. My only concern with the game itself is the movement feels a bit clunkier. You feel a bit slower and more sluggish, and combat feels a lot more slow. The enemies seem to backpedal a lot and hide a lot, which unlike the Division 1, they just kind of stood there or ran at you or at least tried to shoot at you. In this they seem to be hiding a lot more and backpedaling, and it's quite annoying when you're just about to kill someone and then they decide, oh no, I'm going to run away and like toddle off sort of thing. I know that that's an AI thing, and some game developers think, oh yeah, that's pretty good, we'll use that. It's the most annoying thing to encounter in a game, especially if you're on the tiniest little bit of health and you just need to get the last shot on the last person, and they decide, oh no, I'm going to run another 10 meters down the road or something like that and hide behind a lorry. It's like, no, I don't want to be doing that. To be fair to the game, it's lovely, it looks really nice, it's got the same kind of vibe as the Division 1. Obviously the area is different and it's not snowy. It just kind of feels more brighter, nicer. There were a few particle effects that were getting on my nerves, because I just thought, and it reminded me of Far Cry 5, there's green paint that I think it's the hyenas, or that's one of the enemy factions in the group, they use it, and it has this like green misty mystical looking special effect, and I think it just looks stupid. I don't know if they were going for, oh, that's paint fumes or something like that, but I just think it looks terrible, honestly. For a game that you think it's trying to be a bit more realistic in that sort of department, it just doesn't. It kind of looks stupid. But yeah, the actual gameplay itself
is quite nice. The menus look a lot nicer. I kind of prefer how the inventory system works. Everything's got little pictures next to it so you know what the gun actually looks like properly, and the same with your armour and stuff, and you can kind of see from a fashion standpoint of what it's going to look like, which is pretty cool because I like customising my characters to look a certain way or have certain colours, which I doubt we'll actually have in the Division 2, but at least you can have a look at, oh, that's a darker grey than that one, I'll use that one instead. That sort of thing. I quite like that. If they go into it we're going to keep updating it and changing it like they did with the Division 1, then I think it could be really good. But it's just getting to that standpoint of we're going to do this and we're going to stick to doing this, because if they don't, then things are going to get bad and people aren't going to want to play it, and that goes for me as well. I quite liked the Division 1. I played it quite a lot, to be fair, and yeah, they're going to need to bring something new, something exciting to the game for me to go, oh yeah, I'm going to carry on playing this loads, because at the moment Anthem's got my interest, and with them having such a close release date of about a month between each other, it's either going to be, do I play Anthem more, or do I buy a new game and start playing that and leave Anthem for now? And it's just one of those things. Right then, I'm going to end the video there, guys. Please tell me your thoughts about the Division 2 below, and feel free to like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification icon to stay updated on my uploads. So yeah, see you guys in the next video.